This is the Action Movie Guys podcast, bringing you action movie reviews from across the decades, plus box office numbers and insight like never before. And now, your hosts of the Action Movie Guys podcast, Alex and Nate.
Welcome everyone to a brand new episode, and it's a milestone episode. This is episode 260. I'm your host, Alex Figueroa. My co-host is
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
All right, so before I give you the title and the year of the movie that we're doing for Bond, Nate, we just hit 260 episodes of the Action Movie Guys podcast. How do you feel?
I think it's crazy that we've reviewed 260 different movies. Like, the number of episodes isn't crazy to me because, again, I've worked on, I did another podcast outside of this podcast, and it took a while, but we got well over 200 episodes too. So, like, the number's not crazy, but just the fact that we've specifically reviewed 260 movies, that's what's kind of crazy to me. Because on my old podcast, sometimes there would be like no movies we reviewed, or we talk about TV shows or something. This is straight movies. And the other crazy thing is the fact that I got a schedule full of a whole crap ton of more movies that we've somehow never done. Yeah, it's impressive. Congratulations to us. That's what I say.
Yeah, you just said it. Like, I didn't feel like we hit 260. Because I was like, man, because there's like movies that, we watched before, we're rewatching. And then there's other times there's movies that we never, ever even heard of or we never even seen before. And we do it here. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's been a great ride because there's a lot of movies that we screwed up for ourselves doing these damn movies, right? Like, we never
movies you used to
again.
like or I used to like. And it's like, now I hate this movie. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So, it's like the double-edged sword of Action Movie Guys podcast. But, I like it. It is really fun. And again, if you guys are listening or you guys are watching, we got a lot more stuff coming down the line in terms of tons of stuff. We got Fast and the Furious franchise. We got the Mission Impossible franchise, Jurassic Park, and we even been talking about even sneaking in some action comedy movies into this thing.
We haven't done any Star Wars yet. We haven't done any Star Trek yet. We haven't barely done Marvel, barely done comic book. Yeah. We got so much. It's never ending.
Yeah, I agree. One of our Patreons, because we have Patreons where we record live, says you should review 300 on 300. We already did 1 and 2 300s. I don't know where you've been.
We did 300 on episode 12 or something. We got that out the way early.
It's Zack Snyder month when we did that.
Imagine if we sat down and said, hey, in 4 years, let's do 300 on episode 300. It's just gone already. We do a re-review. We'll re-upload it as episode number 300.
Yeah, we should do that. No, anyway, let's get right into it. Again, to everyone that are listening and watching, thank you so much supporting us. Whatever episodes you enjoy and stuff, leave it on the comment or tag us on Instagram at Action Movie Guys Podcast. Let us know which episodes you guys enjoy out of the 260 that we have done so far. But with that said, let's get right into it. We're doing another Bond movie, okay? Oh. We're doing the George Lazenby version of Bond with on Her Majesty Secret Service from 1969. Nate, we're going to go right into it, right? Because you never seen this one, okay? What did you think of the theme song for this one, which had no singers at all? It was just instrumental.
Hated it. I don't remember how it goes. I didn't like it. I'm sitting here, I just watched Thunderball, yesterday, but I'm like, these songs are killing, this is the 60s. At this point, we've established that these movies have songs with singers. And then this movie starts, and it's the worst opening credits out of any of these first ones. It is literally some naked girl's shadow, okay, standing sideways. And then, I don't even know what that shape was. Was it supposed to be like a martini glass or something?
Yes, that's what it was.
It's a martini glass that shows a bunch of clips from the first 4 Bond movies, or 5, that this guy wasn't even in. So it shows but it never shows Bond. It shows villains and women and all this stuff, right? While some instrumental plays. That's unmemorable. At least the first movie, it didn't have singing, but it had the Bond theme. You know what I mean? Yeah. It also had that weird version of Three Blind Mice, which was hilarious. That Jamaican version. This got nothing. I'll give it a 2 because there's naked ladies in it. And I don't mean to be gross, but I mean, hey, there gotta be something here for me to score. Otherwise, it's a 1.
I agree. It's low for me. It's not a memorable theme at all. It's a shame where it comes down to they are playing a lot of, and I think is because this is the first time he replaced Sean Connery. Because remember, this is after You Only Live Twice, which we're covering next week on the podcast. So he's replacing Sean. So they're playing all the greatest hits for Sean Connery to show you we're saying goodbye, his little memento goodbye.
Here's this guy.
With a new dude. So it's actually really funny. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was cheesy. I think they should have just continued doing it as normal with a singer, but they didn't do it. So I agree. I give it a 2. The females were great.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, that they have a song from the soundtrack sung by Louis Armstrong that they use in the movie instead of on the opening credits.
Yeah.
You got a historical famous singer. It's on the soundtrack, but they didn't use it as the theme.
No. Well, it is the theme of the movie, which is the storyline, but we'll talk about that during the storyline.
Yeah, it's the theme of the movie, but it's not in the credit scene. It was a weird choice.
It's a really bad choice. I agree with you with that. All right, here we go. Lead character for the first time and the only time wearing the suit, George Lazenby. Take it away.
For the first and last time. I will say this. He's probably one of the weakest Bonds. I don't think the character's horrible, but they do some things with him that I don't love that much, as opposed to the Connery version. What I will say is he looks the part. You know, he's I read up on it a little bit after, or before, and apparently he had no acting experience. This was like his first role. And I'll get into the performance in a second, but he was like a model. So he's a good looking, he's good looking. He's tall. He's kind of like tall. He seems taller than like Connery to me. So I don't have a problem with the look. He looks like James Bond, got the dark hair, whatever. The characters is definitely, he does some stuff in this that I don't love. Like he smacks the crap out of that lady right at the beginning. She was acting a little crazy, but like Jesus, he's like, he like smacks the crap out of her, right? And I'm like, okay, I think Sean Connery smacked somebody too, but I don't know, it seemed ferocious. And then he is like a super womanizer in this one. Like this man sleeps. Granted, we just watched Thunderball, and my man Sean Connery does it underwater with the other girl, like, and the bubbles go up, and they're like, hope we didn't scare the fish. but this guy is in this facility with all these women, and he sleeps with one girl, and then leaves, and then sleeps with the other girl 15 minutes later. Like, he's got herpes or gonorrhea or something. There's no way. There's no way he does it. But the problem I have with it is that all throughout the movie, there's this other woman, the one he slapped, who he like...
Teresa.
And he's courting her, but he says it's fake, but you could tell he really does like her or love her. And literally the day before he like runs into her, he was just banging all these chicks. I get it, that the banging all the chick stuff works for Bond, but if you're gonna make him fall in love... This is something Casino Royale did, I think, exponentially better when he meets Vesper. You know what I mean? He can't, I don't like it that it's 1 second that and the next second this. It doesn't work for me that much. So that's not on the actor. That's on the writing. So that's a character thing I didn't love. Lazenby's acting is not great. He's not horrible. I've seen worse acting, but he ain't good. And he's the worst actor out of all the Bonds that I've ever seen. So in that regard, I guess he is the worst actor. He's pretty good in the action though. Like in the fight scenes and stuff, like he's out there throwing punches. I gave him a 3 because again, we're scoring the character, not the performance. I think it still mostly feels like Bond, but right out the way, they take you right out of it in his first lines. Where he's like, they never did this to the other guy. And it's like, okay, well, now you're not a real character. Who's the other guy? You make it where it went from being a real movie to being like, this guy's pretending to be Bond, which hurts it.
Yeah, I agree. That was like a nod to like Sean Connery.
Get it, but it was silly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I thought it was stupid. When he did it, I went, wait, what? And then I had to rewind it. I went, oh, this is so dumb.
Yeah.
And then they went right into the stupid theme. Yeah, I'm sorry. Her name wasn't Teresa. Her name was Tracy. Yeah, it was Tracy, played by Diana Rigg.
Who was on Game of Thrones, by the way. I know her from being an old lady on Game of Thrones. She was amazing in that show. It was weird to see her young.
Well, she was hot young.
She used to be.
That's Tracy. But anyway, great actress, though. Even in Game of Thrones. She was really good. All right, so let's get into it. Bond. Because there's a lot of things that I was like, whoa. I do agree. Not a great actor at all. Not in a great. But then again, he's in a sea of great actors. True. That's the problem. Because you got Sean Connery. Roger Moore was a good actor. I mean, he was a really good actor. Then you got Timothy Dalton, who's a trained theater actor, everything actor. Then my man Pierce Brosnan is everything. And then Daniel Craig, it is on his own world. So it's like he is in a sea of actors that are actors, like really actors. So I didn't want to like hurt him in that regard. But the character himself, like what they wrote for this guy, I was so lost because it was just like, you're right. 1 minute this dude is like, he's with Tracy. He's like, oh my God, I love you. And like 2 seconds, this is the best part. And it annoyed me where my man, did this get you mad? I don't think it did. I don't know if it did because this is going to be the point. I think it's going to be one of those reviews that we're going to tear this shit apart.
Okay.
Did this get you mad when he slapped Moneypenny in the ass?
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
And then he kissed her on the lips. I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, no.
There's supposed to be a certain limit that they never like get past.
Yes. It got me really mad. Like, I was really pissed. I was like, wait a minute. I said, that's not a trick that he did in the first 4 films. And then even on the new films, Bond doesn't even cross that barrier between Moneypenny and him. It's like that flirtatious between the two, but they know they can't have each other because they work under that, that umbrella. I didn't like that. I was like, yo, what is going on? Why did they write him like this? And then at the end, when he threw the hat at her, and she started crying, and M was like, why are you crying?
Now that he's married, you never were with him anyway. What did this change?
That annoyed me a lot. I don't know. I felt like him and, did he have a scene with Q?
At the very end, at the wedding. Yeah, at the wedding.
At the end.
They talk, yeah.
Yeah, I did not. It just felt weird. Like, you see, the other Bonds, when they interact with Q, it felt natural. Like, you felt like each of the actors continue that bickering between the two. Like, he's like, you break all my stuff, but they have that joke between each other.
Yeah, this guy had no gadgets.
Oh, he had nothing. I don't even think he could use it.
Yeah, he didn't have any gadgets. Like, if you think about it, he didn't have nothing.
And it was so stupid like that. I don't like movies that throw Easter eggs to throw Easter eggs. The scene that Moneypenny tells Bond, M is in a bad mood. Don't go in there. He goes in there and then he makes a joke and then he gets mad and he goes, you know what? Tell this to him. I'm sending in my resignation, right? And then she rewords it or whatever. And he says, yeah, then he goes in his office, which you see it for the first time, Bond's office. And he gets all the memorabilia from the first 5 movies.
Yeah.
He goes, and then they play the music. That annoyed me. He picked up the knife and it was just like, it was the 3 Blind Mice music.
Yeah.
He picked up the watch with Robert Shaw's watch. It played that music. It played the other. And I said, this is not good. I gave him a 3. I thought he was good as Bond, but they could have did a better job in the 60s.
And we're coming off a bunch of 5s. Yeah. We're coming off
all over the place.
Perfectly played Bond, and then this guy's like,
yeah, I agree. He's not good. And I don't understand what's up with the speed up when he does stuff. He runs to the beach and they sped it up, and I was like, why?
Even when the car's driving, it looks like they sped up the film. I'm like, what?
Yeah, and when he was fighting the dude in the room, and he was punching, he's like, Sabat, Saboom, it's Sabat.
I forgot the part. I gotta save it for action. I save it for action. Yeah.
Oh,
it was weird.
There was one scene, and I think I spit soda everywhere.
I yelled at one part, but I'm saving it for action.
He punched someone and it went like a bionic punch or kick. It was like yeah, like he hit him. It was like anyway. 3 across the board.
Yeah.
Okay, main villain is Blofeld.
All right, so
by a famous actor, which is
Telly Savalas. Telly Savalas playing him. Great actor. Here's what I'll say about Blofeld. As far as portrayed in this movie, this version of Blofeld, I feel about him the way you described the grandpa villain in Thunderball. like he was fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was like maniacal. I give him credit. He's constantly going after Bond, like in the skiing. He's skiing after him in the bobsled part. He's like there on the bobsled, At the end, spoiler alert, he gets kind of the last laugh on him, which I did like that he kind of, him and that lady, but still, it was him. I like that, but other than that, what does he do? He walks around this facility doing weird messages. He's like, give me the tape for number 7. And he puts in a tape and he's like, you used to hate chicken. And now you love chicken. And you just want to be around chickens all the time. And when you wake up, you're going to say, chicken. And I'm like, this is the villain? This is the main villain? This guy talking about chicken? And oh man. So I don't think it's the actor's fault. It's not Telly Savalas' fault. I feel like he could have been an amazing Blofeld. This version of Blofeld, average. I would say average. The big plan in this one, we always like to say the big plan is that this is stupid. Well, this goes into storyline, but this is still stupid. He found these girls who are allergic to stuff. He hypnotized them into being not allergic to stuff, and it's all food. Like the Asian girl's apparently allergic to rice. Imagine being Asian and allergic to rice. That's the worst life. The other girl's allergic to potatoes. The other girl's chicken. So he heals them and he hypnotizes them, and then he's gonna use them to like spread disease, like viral diseases, like all around the earth if they don't give him money. This is the same plot as give me money or bad thing will happen to Earth. That's, pretty much it. So I give him a 3. I feel like what you said about that other guy applies here. Now, Blofeld's a more iconic villain, so it kind of sucks that they did it to him. Average.
Well, today we did the floppity doo.
Oh, okay. Now you're going.
I gave his ass a 2. He's so garbage in this movie. He is so fucking garbage. He is so horrible. And what made him worse, it's that they showed his face.
A lot.
Because they show, they show some scenes that is just his hand petting the cat, and then all of a sudden they show his face, and then he became a goofball. I was like, what is this guy?
He has no earlobes. What the heck? Oh
I thought, honestly, I prefer Donald Pleasant's version of Blofeld. I thought he was way better. This dude is a goofball. I couldn't. I agree with you. He's an iconic character. But my man Goldfinger, I think so far is the best villain in the entire 25 films, if you really think about it. Not including the Bronsons and whatever, but I think he is up there. He has to be top 5 or top 3 villains.
He's got to be the best villain, anything pre, let's just say GoldenEye. Yeah. And he might be better than the villains in GoldenEye, but I'm just saying, pre that. He's definitely been the best. My favorite one so far.
Yeah, I agree. Blofeld stunk. He stunk.
You love
He got
chicken.
caught in a tree, bro. Like, he literally got caught in a tree.
And he's driving the car with the neck brace. He looks like Regina George from Mean Girls. With the neck brace. And he's driving like this.
Yeah, he's just like,
it's so funny.
It was pretty bad. Like, I didn't like it. I gave it a 2. I don't know. I thought he was just a goofball. He knew Bond was in the facility, and he was just like, Like, I don't understand these villains anymore. The dude straight up tells you his name is Bond, James Bond, and it's
Every
like...
time.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, they let his ass live. He's boning all the females that are allergic to shit. And it's like, I really don't understand these villains. It's like, you're supposed to kill them. But it's like, what did he tell the lady? He was like, oh, that is James Bond. Let's give him what he wants. And there's a whole room of women. I was like, what is going on? Like, it's so dumb. Anyway, I gave him a 2. You gave him a 3.
Yeah.
Action scenes.
All right. So, again, similar to the last movie, I had one score in mind when I was watching this movie. This movie, 2 hours. We'll call it 2.5. We'll round up. 2.5 hours. In the first hour, you get like a couple of those Bond, fights, fist fights, whatever. Not much. This is the part that made me laugh. The part where, I don't know, when you spit water or whatever, I literally yelled like, ha! Like that, like super loud. Is right at the beginning, and Bond is laying in that boat, and the guy comes with a gun. He kicks the gun, and then he hits him with like an anchor, and then apparently the guy flew 60 feet, because then he runs out the boat and runs up the beach to go get him. And I just started laughing. I'm like, wait a second. Is that what you're expecting me to believe, that guy flew 30 feet from this like thing? I don't know. That part was funny. So you have a couple of fistfights. I will say this though. The movie turns around in the last hour as far as action goes. It is like in the last hour, it's almost nonstop action. Maybe to the detriment of the movie, because it becomes no plot at all in the last hour. Like, there is no longer a story going on. It is literally just chasing after chasing after chasing after chasing. Some look great. The skiing scene is a mixture of looking awesome and then being horrible because of the green screen. So when they're doing like there's a shot where, I don't know, the cameraman it had to be skiing as well. And he's behind Bond and he's going down this thing. And it looked awesome. And then the very next shot is a front of Bond. And so it's a green screen. And it's like, ugh. So it's kind of frustrating. I get it at the time. This is what they had to work with. In my opinion, they should have just never had any close-ups. They should have never shown his face. He was the only one wearing what he was wearing. You knew which one he was. If they did everything long, some of those skiing shots look incredible. Honestly, they look really good. The car chase, there's car chases, the bobsled scene, which is silly when you think about it, like a bobsled. But then again, they are in a place where bobsledding is a thing. I think most of it's well done. The problem for me is that too much green screen, that it takes me out a little bit. I try not to hold it against it too much, but unlike the last movie, which I gave only a 2, this one got up to a 3 for me. I just wish there was more stakes in the action because, again, it becomes so much that then the story just goes out the window and it's like, well, we're just on this never-ending trail of chases in the snow, and some look cool and some don't, so I gave it a 3.
Man, I guess they were opposite. I gave it a 2. I couldn't. It's bad. It's bad. I'm gonna call it like I see it. It is bad. You're right. The CGI is god awful. It is god awful, and I don't know if it's because of how we're watching it, but man, the skiing scenes are god awful. The driving scenes were god awful. It looked really bad. Yeah. It looked so bad. And the fighting looked comical. It looked speed up. Like they sped up the film when he's fighting. Yeah. It just so weird shots. I mean, they had some good stuff. Like when he fought the dude in the room, I thought it was pretty cool, but then they sped it up and he's doing these weird punches and then the sound effects. And that threw me off. When he punched the dude and it sounded like the Bionic Man, I said, this is really done. Like, it was dumb. It was like, he punched him. He hit him.
Guy, he lands and he goes like,
yeah,
does that thing.
Yeah, it's for me. I couldn't engage with You're right. It was 2 hours long, and I'm not gonna lie. I fell asleep. And I had to rewind because it was boring. I was like, man, these action scenes were I was like, it was
took too long to get to them.
Dude, it was a 30 minute. It had to be 30 minutes. It felt like 30 minutes. When he did the avalanche. Oh, yeah. That scene threw me off. And I fell asleep during that scene. And I was like, this is bad. So this is really bad. And Roger Moore had a lot of skiing scenes, but it looked good. It looked good. Like, he looked good. Like, he looked like he was skiing. This one did not look good. It looked, even when he was in the bobsled and they were shooting each other, and you could tell it looked like they were in front of the camera.
Shooting. The guy was in front of him. And yeah.
The best is when he threw the gun and it bounced off the, I started laughing. I said, this is like it was really bad. It didn't work for me as much. So I gave it a 2 and you gave it a 3. Yeah. So storyline.
I gave it a 2. It's just too drawn out for what it is. Like, first of all, they established this thing. Okay, I'll try to explain this best I can in not 2 hours and a half. Basically, Bond, he meets this girl, which is random. Like, he saves her on the beach from drowning herself, smacks her, she steals his car, and then all of a sudden he's like involved with her. There's nothing before that explains why or anything like that, right? So then her dad has him followed pretty much and kidnapped he's fighting all these guys, takes him, and he's like, I want you to marry my daughter. He literally says the line, she needs to be dominated by a man, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, this is questionable. This is some questionable dialogue. That's what he literally says. She needs to be dominated by a man, and that will make love to her and fix her brain or some craziness like that. I'm like, what the heck? So he's like, you're the man for the job. And Bond's like, I don't want to get married, man. I ain't trying to get married. I'm trying to bang. I ain't trying to get married. So he's like, I'll give you $1 million. Bond doesn't agree. But this guy is adjacent, because he's a criminal. He is adjacent to Blofeld, and he knows where he is. Okay? And then Bond he gives him the information. Like, hey, I'll think about it if you give me the information. So they court each other, and they're dating pretty much. Then he goes to the Alps. This is where you get all the hypnotism weirdness with Blofeld. It takes forever. It's so drawn out for nothing. And then he just magically bumps back into her down in the skiing down the thing. She just happens to be at the same place. And then they fall in love. And then that's pretty much it. And then I'll tell you the end. I'm saving it. But anyway, why was this 2.5 hours? They could have cut out so much crap. The Blofeld's plot was stupid. You love chicken. I can't stop thinking about this guy having to do those lines. You used to hate chickens, and now you can't stop thinking about chickens. I'm like, oh, Lord. So I didn't like it. I gave it a 2. I will say this. I love the ending. If that ending was in a better movie, it would have been fantastic. I love that they blasted her on their wedding day. That is stuff like that is like bold to me. Like that's a bold choice to do, right? But all it made me think of is I wish this was Sean Connery and not this guy.
Yeah.
And I wish I felt more, like I wish they did that better. I wish it had more impact than it did, because it was a great move to like shoot her. She gets shot in the head. I'm like, this should be more sad than it is. But because she's off screen for the whole freaking hour and a half in the middle of the movie, you don't get that feeling towards her. So a good ending, but the rest of it, 2.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 too. I thought it was a stupid movie. Once I was like, wait, this whole movie is about allergies research. I was like, this is so dumb. I was like, it's really horrible that it's like allergy research. It's my problem with this movie. It did not know what it was. Like, it didn't know what it was going to be. It was Bond doing a mission, Bond falling in love, Bond losing his wife. And I was like, well, first of all, it was really, the way they told the story was lackluster. It was all over the place. You didn't care much for it because he's banging every woman that has a hole. So you're like, it just made no sense, right? When he met Tracy, I was like, oh, okay, fine. He threw himself on her. He saved her. She has mental illness. Whatever, it is what it is. And I was like, all right, fine. They killed her at the end. And I was like, fine. And this is the problem that I had with No Time to Die. Because this movie is No Time to Die. It is just a modern version with Daniel Craig. Because they play the same song when he's about to die. When the missiles come hit him at the end of No Time to Die. That it was no payoff. You had 25 years of this one character surviving every type of known thing thrown at this guy. And the way you kill him off in No Time to Die, he stands right there for a missile landing on him. Now, I don't care that he got hit with the virus. That he can't go near her. That's stupid. I was like, this is dumb. But for 25 years, this guy battled Goldfinger, Blofeld, Robert Shaw, Odd Job, Jaws. What does him in is that he stands there and willingly get hit with massive destruction of missiles.
In a way, isn't that like the only way to kill him? If he can't be killed by anything else, wouldn't a million missiles be sort of be the only way to? How else do you want him to die? A gunshot?
Yeah, but you could have did so much better things. Like you could have had him sacrifice himself doing something. But that was just a very lackluster. This one, they kill his wife, and I was like, damn, that's pretty crazy, right? And then he had no emotions at the end. He was just like, oh, now you get to sleep.
She's taking a rest.
Yeah. And I was just like, what is going on here? Like, she was like, you gave us 5 minutes of you two having fun, in love, getting married. She dies 2 seconds after getting married. And that's what you're going to do. Like, I don't like it at all. I thought the music playing there was We Have All the Time in the World. And I was just like, she just died. You don't have no time in the world. Like, it was just, that shit was taken from you once she got shot. Like, there is no time in the world. I don't know. I just felt like the storyline was just so boring and lackluster. And to me, it's just a mirror of the final Bond movie, number 25. It was just a boring movie with great action, because the action scenes were great in that movie. But I thought the endings were weak. It was just, there was tons of Bond fans that did not like the ending, and there's people that did like the ending, right? Like, Tracy dying is one of the best things that happened in this movie to make it good. Bond dying in 25, you could take it or leave it. I have not watched this since the theater. I haven't put the 4K on, because I'm just like, this shit is dumb. Like, I don't want to see it. Like, it wasn't for me, I guess.
Yeah.
But I gave it a 2.
Yeah. I will say the only difference between the two is, at least with Bond dying, you have established a character that has been in 25 movies that you could relate to. Now, whether you agree with the decision or not, cool. In this case, the problem is you don't have that much time with her character. You get the beginning parts, and then you get 15 minutes at the end. If she would have been a character that had appeared in a few movies, and then they finally got together, and then she died, it would have had way more weight. So I agree with you in that, like, it has no weight. It just sort of, it was still bold, but it had no weight.
Yeah, you're right. And then she felt more like Vesper.
Right. I think they killed her too
Vesper.
fast.
Way too fast. She should have been in Quantum of Solace and got killed. And I would have been like, holy crap. But
it will hit more. Yeah. And it just didn't hit hard enough. It was still a cool decision, Wish it hit better. So yeah,
I agree with you because I felt like in Casino Royale, which I think is one of the best Bond movies, my only problem with the movie was it was like he got his license to kill, and then 40 minutes later it's like, I'm resigning because I met Vesper. I was just like, what? It took you all these years to get your license to kill, and now you just 1 second later you're like, I'm gonna resign. So it is what it is. But I gave it a 2. You gave it a 2. Okay, overall.
So a question though, is this the wife that was referenced in that Roger Moore movie?
Yes.
When they say
yes, Teresa. Tracy. Keep calling her Teresa. I don't know.
So I remember when we watched that movie, I was like, when the hell was he married? And then you said it was going to happen in another one.
Yeah.
I now hate that this is the movie that it happened in with George Lazenby. The one movie with this guy in it. It should have been Sean Connery. Sean Connery should have been
Roger
the Bond.
Moore. Either one.
But the thing was that part is in one of the first Roger Moore movies. So it was very early. Yeah. It should have been Sean Connery's Bond that had some sort of relationship like that. Because this piece of wood that they got playing him in this movie is literally out here banging all the allergics and then marries her. Love her. Silly. I gave it a 2. I thought I was going to like this movie better because I know that there's a lot of references. Oh, we never even did the Rotten Tomato score. By the way, last second, Rotten Tomato score for this, 81% from critics, 64% from audiences. So I say that to say I thought I would like it better because I know there's a lot of filmmakers and stuff who have used, especially the skiing stuff, as like a reference point for action scenes. I know Nolan referenced it in Inception. I feel like James Cameron, that True Lies scene where they're skiing and stuff, I'm sure. But I'm surprised how much I didn't like this based off of what I knew of it without having seen it. So I think it was a letdown. George Lazenby, I could see why he only played him once. He wasn't good. As an actor, he wasn't good. Too many weird jokes in this movie. Like, this dude's like talking about boners and stuff. Like, she writes on his leg and he's like, I have a sudden stiffness. And I'm like, what the heck? What? Just let's put it this way. Imagine if like some regular dude said that. It would be like, ew, what are you saying? But because it's Bond, it's like, oh, he's got stiffness. It was gross. It was weird. I just didn't like it that much. It's still not the worst movie I ever saw. It's pretty boring, though. It's pretty boring. It's really slow. So I give it a 2.
It's a very boring movie. I agree. It's very boring. Like, even when I started to, I was like, holy hell. Like I said, I slept in the movie. Like, my wife took a photo of me. She was like, you're sleeping. And I was like, I have to rewind it and watch it. But it's a very boring movie. He is not good. But I will say this. The tone of the movie is very more cinematic than any other Bond movies.
I do agree with that.
Huh?
I do agree with that.
Yeah, it was very cinematic. Like, I was watching, like, the first opening shot, I was like, holy hell. I was like, they're using, like, it looked color graded. It looked like totally different from
some of the direction is pretty good, but the script and the performances.
It's very bad, but you could see, like, it was going towards that dark Bond, but it just, again, it worked for critics. It didn't work for me. I mean, if I was going to go dark Bond, I would go with Timothy Dalton's License to Kill. It's very good as a dark Bond in that movie. When they killed Felix Leiter, my man went out with a bang after everybody. He was just like, take my License to Kill because I'm bringing them all down. Oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah. But this one, I just felt like it just, I don't know. I mean, he came back for one, but they got Sean Connery back for the next one.
Said, you know what? We got to do one more between him and the next one. We're going to bring Sean.
They paid him. They must have paid him a hefty amount to bring him for his final one for Diamonds Are Forever, I believe is that last one. But yeah, I didn't like it. I gave it a 2 overall too. I thought it was a decent film, but yeah, I didn't care for it. All right, here we go. Total points.
13 out of a 25. Not good. I mean, yeah, not good. It's not that good. Again, it's not like an all-time stinker, but in the Bond franchise, for me, well, I will say, there's a bunch of those Roger Moore ones that I didn't enjoy either. But this was still like bottom section for me. It is a lot of movies. It's 25 movies. If I broke it up into five sections, this would be in that bottom 5. Maybe like the 5th worst. I didn't really enjoy it that much. It's too long. It's too drawn out. And it has the worst Bond.
I agree with you on this one. I give it an 11. I was a lot lower than you were, but I didn't like him at all. I thought it was pretty boring. I do agree. If I had to put this in my top 25, this will, this will be on,
Better
has
than
to be
Moonraker.
25. It has to be 25 or 24. And I agree with you. Moonraker, I did not fall asleep. Normally I fall asleep on Moonraker. I literally was up for Moonraker the whole time. This one I fell asleep. This is the first Bond movie I literally knocked out, like snoring. Yeah, it's a really rough movie. Bad. It's a really, really rough. And I felt like every character written in this movie was a 360 from what we saw in the previous films. From M to Moneypenny, even Q. They were all weird. So anyway, that's at 11 for me, 13 for you. All right, Nate, what's coming up next?
Coming up, we're almost to the end of the road, buddy. With these, we have 2 more Sean Connery movies, and then we have reviewed every official canon James Bond movie. Okay, wow. So the next episode is going to be You Only Live Twice, the second to last, the penultimate Sean Connery film. And then guess what? Next week is June, and you know what that means? It's time for a new month, which means a whole new theme and a whole new bunch of either crap or good stuff. That's how it usually works out. And in this case, I know there's going to be some crap from one of us or both of us on some of these movies, because I did a little trip and I went to Universal and I said, you know what? Universal has monsters. How can we incorporate these monster movies into our action podcast? And I said, wait a second, there's a bunch of action movies that are based off of these old monster characters. So we're going to be having a little fun. I tried to stick with these movies are not all from Universal, but I think 2 or 3 of them are. I tried to stick with the core classic monster characters. So the next episode, this is gonna be one. I know you like this movie, and I know I hate this movie. We're gonna be kicking it off with a little Van Helsing to start it off. So we're gonna be doing some Van Helsing, and then we're gonna go with some solo monster movies. We're gonna have some Dracula Untold this month. We're going to have a little bit of The Mummy, the Tom Cruise one, because we already did the Brendan Fraser ones. And then we're going to be doing a movie which I don't even know if you have seen, but I know I have seen it, starring Aaron Eckhart, called I, Frankenstein. Have you ever seen I, Frankenstein?
I did not.
Oh man, that was great. Yeah. Well, yes, we will be doing some I, Frankenstein. Yeah, so I can't wait for you to watch that movie. I have seen it. I saw it at the theater. So good luck to us for Monster Month in the month of June. We gotta get that on the shirt. Have not. Oh man,
so stupid. I gotta.
If you ever wanted to see Frankenstein's monster be an action hero, this is the movie for you.
Oh boy. Well, I can't wait for that. I mean, oh man,
it's got the guy from Underworld in it, Victor.
Oh yeah, Victor.
He's in it. And that hot chick from Chuck.
But what's the other ones that are corresponding with those?
So, of course, we'll have Van Helsing, which has multiple monsters. It's pretty much like Universal monster movies, the mashup. Dracula Untold, of course, starring Dracula. Luke Evans plays Dracula in that film. It's like an old knights battle type action movie. Okay. Then we have, of course, The Mummy, which is The Mummy. And then I, Frankenstein. So Frankenstein, Mummy, and Dracula are like the solo monster characters.
And then the franchise.
Van Helsing is pretty much, franchise, when we're done with Bond, we're going to be going on a swashbuckling adventure because we're going to do some pirates. We're going to be swashbuckling, mate, and we're going to be looking for booty. We're going to be going on Pirates of the Caribbean, 5 movies.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Yeah, I haven't seen them in a while.
It's going to be a fun month. I mean, at minimum, I think even if some of these movies are crap, we're going to have a lot of good time next month. It's going to be a lot of interesting reviews. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh, man. Pirates, I haven't seen that. We're going straight Caribbean.
We're going to the Caribbean with the monsters. That's it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, look, that's actually going to be fun. All right. Can't wait for next week. All right, guys. You guys want to follow us in our social media accounts, please follow Nate over Instagram at Netflix Reviews. Check out the podcast with him and his friends called Netflix Movie Reviews. Anything Action Movie Guys, head over to Instagram at Action Movie Guys Podcast, or head over to YouTube to watch the video version of the podcast. Other than that, he is your host,
Nate from Netflix Reviews.
I'm his co-host, Alex Figueroa. Be awesome to each other and geek out.